MSNBC's Morning Joe is going to be incredibly candid about the Republicans' chances in this election thanks to the nomination of Donald Trump. I have a clip here where he's talking about this. Let's take a look.
People say, well, if you don't support Donald Trump, then Republicans aren't going to win the presidency. Well, Republicans aren't going to win the presidency. Yeah. Not going this way. This is at this point for me, and I'm just being a selfish Republican, for me it's about saving the Senate. It's about not getting wiped out in the House. It's about not getting wiped out in the state legislatures. It's about not getting wiped out in the governorships. We dominate the governorships. We dominate the state legislatures. We dominate the Senate. We dominate the U.S. House. We have a lot to lose. And standing behind a guy that eviscerates a Gold Star mother and a grieving father, that is not a guy that's going to lead you to victory. Kelly Ayotte needs to distance herself from this guy now. Ron Johnson needs to distance himself from this guy now. They would be shocked what would happen if people would show a little courage.
I'm going to be a selfish Republican. Wait, is there any other kind? Oh, that's not right. That's not right. That's mean. Oh, anyway. So he talked about courage. That's not really the Republican thing. Look, I never believed that I would be saying this, right? But there is an exception to that. Ted Cruz. I never thought I'd be actually giving praise to Ted Cruz because he didn't fall in line with the rest of the Republican Party. Now, of course, he got huge backlash from that. And good, because I don't want to see that guy around, but I got to give him credit for at least standing up against Trump. Now, there's, of course, other Republicans that are also refusing to back Donald Trump, old Bushes, and as well as John Kasich, for example. So look, some of them do have the balls to stand up to Trump, unlike Chris Christie, who ended up becoming Trump's little bitch. Anyway, as I've said before, most Republicans are authoritarian. So, they like to line up behind the daddy figure, in this case, Donald Trump. Now, in the case of Ted Cruz, he didn't back Donald Trump because he wants to be the daddy. You see how that works? Now, as for Scarborough, the guy's not an idiot. As much as we disagree, he's not dumb. Okay? He said it himself. I'm going to be a selfish Republican. Well, he wants to win. And he knows that Trump is likely to botch this election. It's almost like Trump's trying to lose. Now, Hillary Clinton is so disliked by the electorate that for Trump, it's a challenge for him to become even more unlikable. Yet Trump looks at this and seems to be like, challenge accepted. He says crazy things and then says even more crazy things to get us away from talking about the issues because, look, Donald Trump has no issues. He has no specific policies. He just says, I don't know, I'm going to do something. It'll be great, believe me. That's not a policy, dude. And what Scarborough is doing is that he's actually doing something smart. He's looking at the long game. Senate races, House races, governorships. Those are all places where progressives have admittedly failed. That's where he's going to focus on. And look, you remember the ties between the Koch brothers and Scarborough. Those ties run deep. The Kochs recently came out and said, we're not backing Trump. We're gonna essentially dump that $900 million that we were gonna save up to shower on the Republican candidate. Well, no. We're gonna spend that money. We don't like Trump, so we're gonna spend it on the Senate and the House races. Now, why that's important is because that money will make a world of difference for the candidate receiving that money. It's basically having a guy who has a megaphone up against an opponent that has a kazoo. The guy with the megaphone, he's going to win. He's going to get out his message. He's going to end up getting more votes. And also remember that Hillary Clinton kind of shot herself in the foot with the Hillary Victory Fund. There was a Politico piece out there several months ago that showed how she raised money through the parties. It was a giant money laundering scheme where she took about 99% of that money into her own campaign and left the states with 1% of that money, and a lot of them are unable to raise more because they've hit the campaign finance limit. Now, what that means is that in these state house races, the Republicans are going to have, they're all going to be armed with megaphones. That's not good. Whereas the Democrats, they're going to be left with almost nothing. It's a disaster for progressives. And if you're a Republican like Joe, who's willing to cede the presidency, where most of the power is not located, by the way, because we have a system of checks and balances, in order to win the House, the Senate, and the local governments of the states who have power to make conservative policies. I'd say that's a pretty smart trade-off. Imagine Hillary Clinton with a Republican Senate, a Republican House, and Republican governorships. 31 of them are already in Republican hands. That's not a good situation for progressives. At best, nothing will happen. At worst, she'll agree with some of the Republicans. Yes, I do think you need some tax breaks. Yes, I think you need a little bit more deregulation. We could all agree on that. No, that's a disaster. That's a disaster. And look, this is exactly the thing that, unfortunately, the Democratic Party has ignored. The local races. Now, luckily, we do have some wonderful Bernie-crats that are running for those positions as well. But look, they're going to essentially face a money bomb. They need help. So look them up, help them out any way you can, because that's where the real fight is. Not the presidency. The real fight is in your neighborhood, is in your Senate race, is in your House race, is in your governorship. That's where the fight is.